Elias Thorne carried his fear like a shroud. Not the common anxieties of man, but a terror so profound, so visceral, that the mere thought of falling water could seize his lungs and ice his veins. Umbraphobia, they called it, a clinical word that did little to describe the crushing weight in his chest when the sky turned gray. His childhood was fractured by a single, rain-drenched afternoon near the old wire, where his younger brother, Thomas, was lost to the swollen river. Elias had been there, just moments before the storm broke, sharing a whispered secret on the muddy bank. The deluge came without warning, and with it, Thomas was gone. Decades later, the sound of rain was a physical assault, each drop a tiny hammer blow chipping away at his sanity. He sought refuge where the sky was notoriously parched. He found O'Cavan, a scattering of ancient stone cottages clinging to the slopes of the Great Peaks, a region known for its perpetual drought, its air thin and dry as bone. Here, surely, the nightmare would cease. The first few weeks in his isolated cottage were a fragile peace. The air was still, the sun, though often veiled by a dry haze, was ever present. He could breathe, but the quiet was insidious. It left space for other sensations. A phantom chill in a corner of the room, like damp rising from ancient stone. A faint, unmistakable smell of wet earth and ozone, even when the sun beat down. He dismissed them as phantom sensory echoes, boasts of his past haunting his present. Then came the drop. A single, impossible drop of water appeared on his kitchen window pane, distinct against the dusty glass. There was no cloud in the sky, no source above. He wiped it away, his hand trembling, but the seed of dread had been replanted. The occurrences escalated. Small, dark patches on the ceiling that vanished when he looked closer. The sound, faint at first, of water dripping somewhere within the walls, a sound that mirrored the relentless tick-tock of his rising panic. One evening, the air grew heavy, thick with the scent of an approaching storm, yet the stars remained clear and sharp overhead. He pressed his face to the window, searching the empty sky, his heart hammering against his ribs. That night, he woke to a sound that ripped a strangled cry from his throat at the unmistakable roar of heavy rain hitting the roof, pounding against the windows. He scrambled out of bed, hands over his ears, but the sound was everywhere, deafening. Yet, when he forced himself to look, the world outside was bone dry, bathed in moonlight. The sound was internal, or perhaps between worlds. A phantom rain grew bolder. Puddles appeared on his floor, small, dark, and smelling faintly of river mud. He saw movement in the downpour outside his windows, blurred shapes that seemed to press against the glass, distorted and pleading. He recognized them, not as human forms, but as the restless, waterlogged memory of his brother. The guilt, the terror, the sheer impossibility of it all threatened to shatter him. He knew then that O'Cavan offered no escape. The rain wasn't a weather phenomenon. It was a manifestation, called forth by his own inescapable past. It was Thomas, or what was left of him, eternally trapped in the moment of his drowning, reaching out, pulling the water, the fear, the memory, across distance and dark. One night, the true storm arrived. Black clouds boiled over the Great Peaks, defined the region's history. Lightning split the sky, illuminating his cottage in stark, terrifying flashes. And with the first heavy drops that struck the roof, the phantom rain inside intensified, merging with the real. The walls seemed to weep, dark streaks running down them like tears or grasping fingers. The air grew cold, filled with the stench of decay and river water. Through the rain-lashed window, distorted by the deluge both inside and out, he saw it clearly, a figure, hunched and dripping, its face a featureless void where features should be, pressing against the glass. It did not. It didn't speak. It simply was, carried on the endless downpour, a horrifying echo of the brother he lost. Elias backed away, stumbling, knowing there was nowhere left to run. The rain had found him, and in its chilling, relentless embrace, he was home.